does the remote viewing taps into psychokinesis used in spoon bending, for example, or not really?
Well, spoon bending is not psychokinesis.
Okay.
Psychokinesis is using the mind to move something or affect something that's beyond your physical energy. So, whatever you use for a psychokinetic target has to be inside a circle which a human cannot cross. In other words, you have to be 3 meters away from whatever it is you're trying to affect, whether no
Mhm.
matter what it is. And so psychokinesis has nothing to do with spoon bending, because spoon bending, when you bend forks, spoons, knives, whatever it is you're bending, you're holding them in your hand. By holding them in your hand, you're having not only a heat and cold exchange, you're having a fundamental change occurring between you and that spoon.
Mhm.
Um, the way I would explain it is, we don't know the energy exchange that takes place between a human and the spoon they're holding in their fingers. So,
Mhm.
since we don't know the answer to what kind of energy exchange is going on there, there's no way to explain how it's happening. They have some theories. And one of the theories is that when they make spoons, forks, and knives now, what they do, well, knives are a little more complicated, but you don't see many of them being bent. You see
Mhm.
spoons and forks. And what it is, they'll put a sheet of nickel out under a 65-ton press. And that press has got cutters in it. And it comes down and goes whammo, slams down on the sheet and cuts out 50 different forks at one time, all solid nickel. And then they go through a forming machine that presses them into the right form. And maybe they go through a brush that takes all the rough edges off. But that's how they're made. What they think is happening is the fork or the spoon, when they're being held in the hand, gets just enough energy to remember what it actually was before it became a spoon or a fork. So
Mhm.
the tines start moving, the bowl starts changing shape and whatnot. So it's trying to go back to that sheet of nickel that it was prior to being cut or stamped out of it, because it's all done with force.
Mhm.
Psychokinesis, on the other hand, is when there's something inside a glass bubble that's supported on a sheet of air that has a 3 meter yellow circle around it, where the person sits just outside that circle. It makes whatever the object is in the glass bulb move around with their mind. And nothing else can do that. Uh,
Mhm.
that's psychokinesis. Now, I'm going to tell you the results of 5 years experiments at Stanford and SAIC on psychokinesis.
Mhm.
We spent an enormous amount of money over 5 years studying psychokinesis. And I'm going to tell you the exact result. The result was, we cannot explain psychokinesis. We cannot demonstrate psychokinesis in the physical world, because there's too many things in the physical world which will cause the reaction on the target, whatever it is,
Mhm.
other than the mind. So,
Mhm.
because we can't shut everything out, uh, we're unable to prove it or disprove it. And that's what the report comes out and says. The report comes out and says, we can neither prove psychokinesis is real, nor can we disprove that it's real.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And if you, and what I say to people, if you want to go out and spend another $1 million on nothing but research on psychokinesis and be able to say the same thing, don't complain to me when you could have done a 500,000 remote viewings with it, you know,
Right.
or found 30,000 missing children or something. No, it was a total waste of time
Right.
even studying psychokinesis, because there's no answers there.
Mhm.
The problem is this. I'll just give you one example. We had a strain gauge in an glass aquarium, completely enclosed, floating on air inside a shielded wire cage in a sealed room with no windows, no air movement, no anything operating in there, and a yellow circle around it. And somebody was sitting there with their mind going, and this strain gauge, which if you touch it or blow on it, it goes, okay.
Hmm.
So they're sitting there 9 feet away, targeting this, and it suddenly went, and they went, "Oh my God, I did it!" No, no. 3 months later, what we found was every time a dump truck loaded with a load of gravel hit a plate out on Route 5, blocking, covering a pothole. Every time a truck that heavy hit that pothole, that strain gauge would go. So if somebody happened to be sitting there, they would take credit for having affected it. And that's exactly what happens. And we could not close all the ways that strain gauge would go off. We could not seal everything off
Right.
other than the mind.
Right.
So there's no way you could say one or the other. And
Right.
it
Right.
just is a fact of life. And
Hmm.
there's enough in our world that makes things weird.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah. Definitely.
that's what I think is kind of funny. Yeah, we have weird stuff happen all the time.
I know.